Something unexpected happened to me when I turned 70. I didn't just get older, I got freer. I look back on my life and realized that I had outgrown some things that I used to do. And when I said I'm done, I don't do that anymore, I got free. Stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. Well, I was thinking the other day about things that just aren't in my life anymore. I've outgrown them. And I was really surprised and happy to realize these things about myself. You know, we go through life and we do and say things maybe that we really don't mean, or we don't do things that we wanted to do, or we don't say things that we wanted to say. And then all of a sudden, you can do all those things. You say what's on your mind, you say what's in your heart, you do the things that you want to do for your life, and the freedom is just incredible. If you're in my age group, you grew up in a different time than how things are today. You know, women kind of took a back seat, they didn't speak up, or they may not say what they're really thinking about, but it doesn't have to be that way anymore. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that I have outgrown and I don't do anymore. So one thing I've outgrown is keeping the peace at my own expense. You know, things are different now. Women were different. We grew up in a different time period. So maybe many of us seniors didn't say what we really wanted to say. You know, we would stay quiet. We would avoid conflict because we wanted to keep the peace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for some reason, once I hit that 70 mark, I wasn't going to do that anymore at the expense of myself. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut to avoid a conflict or swallow my feelings because of someone else. Nobody is worth that to me. I'm not saying I'm going to be rude or nasty or hateful or anything like that, but I am going to speak my own piece. I'm going to express my feelings or how I view something. I'm not going to hold it back to avoid conflict. If someone disagrees with me, that's fine. We're allowed to disagree. But I'm going to speak my mind and I'm not going to hold back. Not anymore. I have outgrown that. Another thing I have outgrown is clutter. And I mean physical clutter and mental clutter. I've done a few videos on clutter. I I just can't deal with it anymore. I used to have so many things in my home, you know, decorations and different lamps and pictures on the walls and doodads and stuff like that. And they were fine. I really loved them when I had them. But once I got 70, they started crowding me in. Everything was too much. I'd look at a table like a coffee table or end table, and there was just too much stuff on it for me, and it just got on my nerves. And so I thought, I've outgrown these things. They just don't matter to me anymore. So I got rid of a lot of stuff, and now I keep my life simple. The same with emotional or mental clutter. Oh my gosh, I could fill my head up with so many things and I would dwell on them and think of them over and over and then think, oh, I'm going to set that aside. I'm not wasting time on this. And before you know it, I pick it back up and I'm wasting more time on it. And it would just fill my head and I felt like I couldn't get rid of it. No more. I've outgrown that. Thank God I've outgrown that because it was torment for me. I don't let things clutter my mind anymore. It's not worth it to me. I don't need those things. My peace is more important to me. And I love that I outgrew that. Another thing I've outgrown is disrespect. You know, you're out in public, whether it was 10 years ago or today, and you do come across disrespect. Some young people were disrespectful, some old people were disrespectful, some store clerks are disrespectful. Just and anywhere you go, you can find that. It's more common now than it used to be. And you just put up with it. You just didn't say anything. Not anymore. I cannot tolerate disrespect for anyone. I'm not just talking about me. If somebody talked nasty or was disrespectful to someone else, I'm going to jump in there and say something. Now, I might get shot, you know, I, I might get attacked, but I don't care. That doesn't enter my mind. I cannot tolerate somebody disrespecting someone else. It just goes against my grain, my core. I can't stand it. Now, here's a good one: outgrowing the fear of disappointing someone. I can't tell you how many years I lived like that. I'm going to have to say between 65 and 68 years. I never wanted to disappoint anyone, even if it cost me, even if it took my last piece of energy from me. I just didn't want to disappoint anyone. Why, I don't know, because actually I was disappointing myself by letting myself down. As I said earlier, I have lived with a cluttered mind for many years. And if somebody asked something of me or for me to do something, if I didn't want to do it, if it's the last thing in my mind I wanted to do, I felt like I had to do it because I didn't want to disappoint them. I don't know why that mattered to me so much, but it really did. And now I consider anything that's asked of me, and if I can do it, I certainly will. But not at my own expense anymore. I take myself into consideration now. I don't have that fear of disappointing someone, letting someone down in any way, shape, or form. Now, my belief is the main reason this happens as we get older, or at least why it happened to me, going through my 70s, and I'm now at 75, I realize I only have so much to give. My energy is not unlimited. My stamina is not what it used to be. My resources are not what they used to be. So you can't give something that you don't have within you to give. And I had to recognize that. I had to acknowledge it. I had to accept it. I never wanted to accept it before. Oh no, I can do it. Oh no, I'm not tired. I've only been up 48 hours, but hey, I can go another 12. How ridiculous does that sound? But that was me. That's the way I thought. Now I have boundaries. I understand my limits and I respect my limits, something I never did before. Now, something I've definitely outgrown is trying to keep up with the world today. And let me tell you, I tried. When I was in my late 50s and then 60s, I tried to keep up. I mean, I never had an iPhone. I had a flip iPhone. I mean, up into my 60s. And then my kids would say, Mom, get with the program. Everybody has an iPhone. And so I thought, okay, I can do that. I'm going to learn to text and all the things you can do. And so I tried to keep up, and it just wore me out. I'm no more interested in my iPhone than I was the day that I got it. Now, do I like it? Yes. Do I like the convenience of it? Yes. Do I like to send someone a text if I just want to say, hey, are you on your way home? Yes. But all the other stuff it does, no. I'm not interested in it. And I don't want to learn it. I don't want to keep up with the world. The same with social media, which I knew nothing about until I discovered it when I was 68 years old. And I decided to do YouTube. And again, younger people, my kids, my grandkids, hey, how about TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and uh, what is it, Pinterest, and just all these things. And I thought, oh my gosh, now I have to do all that. But I didn't. I didn't do any of them. I did go on Instagram just to post my videos in the beginning, but I stopped that a long while back. I never did anything else. I've never been on Pinterest. I've never been on TikTok. And I don't have Facebook. There's nothing wrong with any of that, but I don't want to keep up with the world. I just don't. And especially now, being in my mid 70s, I don't want to even try to keep up with the world. I don't like the world. I like my world. I have my own world, my own little bubble, my own world that I live in. And that's where I want to stay. That's where I want to be. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And you could totally disagree with me, and that's okay because we all get to make our own choices. But I can keep up with my world, and that's good enough for this old girl. And the last thing that I'll share that I feel like I have outgrown, and it took a lot for me to outgrow it, and that was I no longer needed people to understand me. That may sound strange, but I've talked about it before in other videos. I've always been different. I don't know how to explain it. I just wasn't what you would consider normal for my age, like growing up and as a teenager and all that. I did videos on it. I wasn't like your typical teenager. I didn't date. I didn't go out. I didn't skip school. I didn't drink, all the things. And then throughout my life, I just continued to live the way I've always lived. And people would ask me, it could be different friends that you meet throughout the years or neighbors that you become friends with as you move throughout the years that would ask me questions. Well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Or why do you do this or that? And I used to try to explain because I wanted people to understand me that just because I had a different choice didn't mean there was something wrong with me. And I tried to prove that most of my life. My own family, I've shared this before too. My sister always just said, "You're weird. You're weird." No matter what I would say, it was weird to her. And when I asked my brother about it, why does she say that? What about me? And he said, well, there's nothing wrong with you. He said, you're just different. So different how? I don't know. But I'm me. I'm who I am. And I like who I am. And it's been very easy for me to live with me for 75 years because I just remained the same. And I like who I am. So I don't have that anymore, that feeling like I need to explain myself. It just isn't there anymore. Have you gone through that or felt that way? Like maybe you see things differently and you want people to understand you, why you see things differently or why you feel the way you do. And then you waste so many years trying to get people to understand you. It is a waste of time. It's a waste of many, many years. And I regret that. I don't need anybody to understand me anymore. Because guess what? I understand myself. That sounds silly, but I always have. I understand who I am. I know my own quirks. And that's fine. That's good for me. And that's all that really matters. So, those are some of the things that I have outgrown and that I am free of. What's something that you have outgrown? It may be some of the things that I talked about, or it may be something totally different. I'm sure I've outgrown other things that just aren't coming to mind. So maybe whatever you share that you've outgrown, I'll be able to look back on my own life and maybe I'll realize, hey, I've outgrown that too. That would be a good feeling. So please share that in the comments. All right, now let's move on to an inside beauty tip. My inside beauty tip comes from Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. I didn't always guard my heart, and I sure should have because it was my responsibility. I swallowed words that I wanted to say. I did things when I was totally exhausted and had no energy to do them whatsoever or any desire to do them. But I didn't want to disappoint anyone or let someone down. And all I did was hurt myself. Maybe many of you can relate to this. Maybe you've done the same thing throughout your life over the years, where you were more invested in people pleasing and doing what others wanted you to do and never considered yourself. That happens. Maybe we've all been through that. Aging has not made me care less about life, but it made me care more about the right things for me, what what should matter for me. Like I said, the peace, the energy, time, all those things that we deserve in our golden years. If I had guarded my heart, throughout my years, then my path would have been different. I wouldn't have been a people pleaser. I wouldn't have been a person that was fearful of disappointing others and doing things that I just didn't feel like doing, but did it anyhow. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing good. Those things are good to help others and be there for them whenever you can. I'm just saying that if it comes at a price, if we're not guarding our own heart, then it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing for us. It's okay to say, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's okay to not be able to show up for something that someone is making you feel like, well, you have to show up for this. No, you don't have to. It's okay not to show up. If you can't do it and you say it lovingly and with kindness, and you know you're guarding your heart and you are putting yourself in the picture as well and your own well being, then that's okay. How about you? Have you gone through parts of your life where you didn't guard your heart and it kind of took your course off life? I know I have. But the good thing is, I'm still here. And if you're watching this, you're still here. So our golden years can be everything we want them to be because we have another opportunity. So be encouraged. We can guard our heart and it will determine the course of our life. I'm happy about that. I thank you so much for being here today. I truly do appreciate it. And until we meet again, this is the old girl signing out. See ya.